Let's get it going on Locked On Thunder live every Monday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time on the Locked On Thunder YouTube channel, in addition to our daily Monday through Friday show and after every single game. You've got a lot of content this week, but this, my favorite of the week, with Derek Parker, D Park OK on social media, the OKC Dream Team Pod on Patreon, where you can find both of us over there, and his own YouTube channel, Derek-Parker, with a new video coming out on all the rookie performances from the first two nights in the NBA. You can find both of us at thunderonssi.com. Derek, we had a full slate yesterday. We were both league passing it up, quad boxing in the league pass like a bunch of sickos. How fun was it to have NBA basketball back?
It was phenomenal. The quad box is a lot, man. I pulled it out for last night, 12 games. But I don't know if I'm built for the quad box year round. It's nice to be able to like switch away from a commercial, go to a different game, but a lot of basketball on one screen. I don't know how you manage it. I don't know if you're going to be moving forward with the quad box, but I think I'm going to stick with 2 max.
Yeah, it is at times overstimulating where you need to do the old fashioned what you used to do in the early aughts, channel surfing, and just click back and forth between games. But it is fun to have up the quad box, especially in games in which maybe they're not high priority for you to know every intimate detail of the contest. You just want to get a general feel for how the games are going. But we have a lot of overreactions to the first night of the NBA, and I'm excited to get to that. But let's start with the Thunder. They survived the Rockets in the season opener. It was ring night. It was banner night. There's takeaways from this double overtime game. What'd you think of ring night and banner night and being a part of that?
Yeah, it was a cool experience. Honestly, going into the night, I was a little skeptical that it would have the feel that it did, just because I think actually hoisting the trophy, having like the parade, all of those things in my mind were like more of the selling point. I was like, we've been there, done that. Like I was more looking forward to the actual regular season, but I thought it lived up to the hype. Like it had its fair share of moments. The arena was loud. It was rowdy. The banner raising was really, really cool. I thought it was really well done. It looks good. The rings are awesome. Way cooler than I anticipated. Didn't go into the night expecting to even care what the rings looked like. Came out of it thinking, wow, those are cool. So yeah, I thought the like pageantry of everything was more than up to buck.
Yeah, it was a fun pregame, and you mentioned the crowd. They were on top of it from the word go. It made this game that had a playoff level feel on the court, kind of had the playoff level atmosphere as well off of it. Kevin Durant being booed, and then they gave Steven Adams and Carmelo and Serge standing ovations. It was a great game. And what was your biggest takeaway from this double overtime Thunder win?
Yeah, I've sung the praises of the Houston Rockets all offseason, and I'm not necessarily out on them. I think Fred VanVleet would have been really, really helpful to have. I think they were trending towards being one of the top 3 to 5 best teams in the league. I don't think they showed anything aside from that. So with that in mind, for a Thunder team that is lacking an all-NBA player and lacking a few other rotational players, to go out and beat Houston by a point is pretty indicative of where the Thunder are at right now, I feel. I think they're clearly still the best team in the league. I haven't seen anything from any other team. Watched a lot of basketball yesterday, as we talked about. Haven't seen anything from any other teams to prove otherwise. And I think a 1-point win over a really good Houston team, they maybe didn't bring their A game. They maybe are still working through some things offensively and even defensively. But for the Thunder to go and beat that team by a point without Jalen Williams, to me, speaks volumes to they've still got it. And they're still really, really good as we move into another campaign.
Yeah, and you look at this Thunder team, and Tuesday was really a game of them showing you exactly what they did a year ago, where their defense kept them in it long enough to get to double overtime and to eventually get the win. That helped them. They're just a problem-solving group. Like this is the worst nightmare for most millennial women who just want to tell you their problems and not have any solutions. The Thunder find the solutions to their problems. They are out there missing threes left and right, shooting 20% from three, and yet they still win a game in the modern era without Jalen Williams, an all-NBA player, without Isaiah Joe, a very positive bench piece for them as a shooter. And yet they found a way to win against a team that I think will be the second best defense in the league, a team that I think will be record-wise the second best team in the West. Obviously, I think Denver's the bigger competition. We'll see Denver play tonight against Golden State. That's a game I cannot wait to watch later on today, but never making their season debut in this one. So I'm just really excited about where the Thunder are at and where the Thunder are as a team. They kind of lived up to the billing of being the deepest, most talented team and finding ways to win. My biggest takeaway was Chet Holmgren. We spent all summer talking about Chet Holmgren and a possible breakout for him. We spent all summer talking about how real was that 9-game sample size before he fractured his hip. In that 9-game sample size, he was a lock for an all-star appearance and he was on the MVP ladder. He was getting that level of buzz. How much can he get to that level of performance again after he fractured his hip? After an off season of work, he was at that 9-game sample size on opening night. It's just one game. You've got to see him do this consistently. But man, he was scoring the ball well at all 3 levels. He was getting to the free throw line, and you know what he does defensively. He lived up to the hype that we've put on him all summer long of being this offensive breakout candidate for Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I tweeted it out. There wasn't a ton of stuff in one game that Chet Holmgren could have shown that would have made people think, oh, he's taking a leap. But he did some of those things in this game, like the floater cutting down the lane, the spin into jumpers. The jumper looked really smooth and concise. It hasn't always looked that in his Thunder tenure. So again, you don't want to get too ahead of the skis and say, oh, he's taken the leap, but man, did he show some stuff Tuesday night that certainly makes you lean that way, especially given all the reporting we've done over him on the offseason, the way the staff has talked about him, the way they revere him as potentially the second best, third best scorer on this team. So he looked really good. Another player who looked really good that I want to touch on, takeaway from the game, AJ Mitchell. I know you're itching to talk about AJ. 16 points on 50% shooting from both the field and from 3, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He only played 15 minutes, so 16 points in 15 minutes. He looked awesome. To the point where when you watch AJ Mitchell as an evaluator, the draft evaluator in me and the talent evaluator in me is going, is he way more than we think he is? Obviously for you think he's top 8 rotation. He's obviously top 8 player on this Thunder team is awesome. But when you watched him the other night, is there any part of you that thinks, man, if he played for Milwaukee or something, he could be a guy moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, you just look at the circumstance that he finds himself in on this team, and he's able to thrive in it. And he's a guy that I think that if you plopped him down in any team, regardless of the team construct, he'd be able to thrive because of how versatile that he is. I believe he's a better defender than he gets credit for. But let's just talk about offense for a second. Offensively, he can be someone who sets the table for you as a playmaker, who gets downhill for you and gets to the free throw line and generates some offense that way. But he can also do it off the ball. He can knock down, catch and shoot threes. He has a great ability, despite his size, to be able to cut to the rim. And those things work no matter what your team puts around him. If you need him on the ball, he can do it. You need him off the ball, he can do it at a high clip. That's why I believe he's already a top 8 rotational player on this team. That's my big overreaction from night one, is that what we saw from AJ, that's what we talked about all summer long. He didn't get the play down the stretch of this game. Mark trusted his guys. I trusted Kaysen, trusted Caruso, trusted those players over AJ, which it's hard to blame him for, right? And to me, you can't have it both ways, right? You can't look at game 1 of the finals and say, well, because they lost at the buzzer to Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers, that it was because they messed with their starting lineup. It was because they played AJ Mitchell, which I vehemently disagree with. You can go back to the game 1 recap to hear all of that and then say, well, he should have played him down the stretch of this game. He did what you wanted him to do, and trusting those guys. I would have played AJ, but I'm also more biased toward AJ Mitchell. I think that by the end of the year, though, it'll be undeniable that he is a top 8 player in this rotation. Speaking of the rotation, Derek, on the Dream Team pod, Andrew Schlecht was just salivating over Isaiah Joe and the missing of Isaiah Joe, and thinking that Isaiah Joe would clear this Thunder offense from this Houston defense. And I explained that Isaiah Joe is not a player who has enough gravity to take away from the pressure that SGA faces. And last year, AJ Mitchell was someone who took more open threes than he did contested threes. Because if you're looking at it from this standpoint, SGA's efficiency did drop against Houston. There's no doubt about that. He labored his way to 35 points for his standards. And at the end of the day, he still closed it out, and he still got them the win because Shea is inevitable. That's going to be one of my biggest takeaways coming up. But in particularly this AJ Mitchell take that Coach Grimp is sad about, I guess, or upset about, was just simply this. If you have to pick between digging into the gaps really hard, trapping SGA off of pick and rolls, and putting bodies on him at all times, you're going to be okay with Isaiah Joe shooting open threes. You just are, because Isaiah Joe can make them, but Isaiah Joe also is a guy that you're comfortable beating you versus having SGA playing an island. You're still going to be, jumping off of Isaiah Joe to defend SGA. So that doesn't really help the situation that SGA found himself in on Tuesday. What would help the situation SGA found himself in on Tuesday is Jalen Williams. Like J-Dub would have helped in a tremendous way, free up SGA, but not Isaiah Joe. And then, how the dream teamers are, they got to defend all 18 guys on the roster. So yeah, they had to jump in on Isaiah Joe, but Isaiah Joe would be a nice piece for a team that was struggling to shoot. But again, in terms of changing and bending a defense, Isaiah Joe just does not do that. And the numbers bear it out with how much teams let him shoot open threes, despite him being the best three-point shooter on this roster. It's just, there comes a point where the reason why you build this great team and the reason why you build this team that has so much quality and so much depth is that defenses are going to have to make the choice. They can't defend everybody, and they can't defend guys like Isaiah Joe to the level that Isaiah Joe's three-point ball warrants, because you have to focus so much on SGA. That's what makes Isaiah Joe so impactful in those SGA lineups, is because, you're defending Isaiah Joe less than you're defending SGA. It's why Isaiah Joe's numbers, whenever SGA is off the floor, dip a bit, because you no longer have to worry about SGA, so you can give more attention to Isaiah Joe. I didn't think that was some hot take, but you know how the dream teamers are. It's a different atmosphere over there, Derek Parker.
So what's at the meat of the take? Is that Isaiah Joe wouldn't have helped that much versus Houston?
No, the meat of the take is that Isaiah Joe would not have helped Shea not see the amount of bodies that he did. Would not have helped Shea not seeing the traffic that he saw.
Gotcha. Yeah, totally fine take. Now, I think some Isaiah Joe three-pointers certainly would have relieved maybe a little pressure.
Isaiah Joe's three-pointers would have made the team more productive. Right. But it would not have made Shea more efficient in his scoring ability, because you're still going to put everyone you have in the kitchen sink on SGA as opposed to Isaiah Joe.
I agree. And we've also seen nights where, of course, Isaiah Joe, more often than not, he'll hit a couple of threes. They'll maybe not double Shea as much. We've also seen nights where Isaiah Joe also starts out 0 for 3, and he gets yanked pretty quick because he doesn't defend at the same level. So, yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I don't think it necessarily changes any game plan for Shea. Can it theoretically relieve some pressure from Shea? Sure. But we'll never know at this point.
Well, maybe the next time these two teams face off, we'll get to see it. But my biggest takeaway, number 2, would be the complementary basketball. And that's the biggest strength to maximizing a player like SGA. With Chet Holmgren playing the first 3 quarters the way that he did, with this defense playing the way they played this entire night, it let you hang around. It let you be within 6, within 5, within 7. It let you be within that range that once Shea got going, because Shea is in this tier with the best scorers in the world, who they're not going to be bad for the entire game. They're not going to have 2 bad halves. They're going to be able to eventually break through. The way that the Thunder can maximize that is different than any other team, because it reminded me so much of Game 4 in Indiana in the finals, where Shea gets a lot of credit for that 15-point fourth quarter, and he deserves credit for that 15-point fourth quarter. But that 15-point fourth quarter would be null and void had Jalen Williams, J-Dub, not had quarters 1 through 3 to keep them within striking distance. And it's the same thing here. Shea eventually got it going, and Shea eventually closed this game and won this game for OKC. But if Chet was a little bit worse scoring the basketball to start the game, then this game is blown open, and there's no real hope for the Thunder to come back once Shea figures it out. But the Thunder are so talent-rich and so deep that they can just make Shea an inevitability to win them games. That's what got them to 68 wins last year. It's what got them a championship last year. It's what got them this win in the season opener. This complementary basketball is something that we've rarely seen before in the NBA, and it allows you to truly use one of these all-time great scorers to their biggest potential. I mean, you look at Luka and some of the teams that he's played on where, Luka can go for 45, especially early in his Mavericks career, especially what he did on Tuesday himself against Golden State. Like, he can have a great individual game, but the pieces around him don't let it kind of lead into a ton of wins. The Thunder keep it close enough to where whenever Shea does get to his spots and does get comfortable within the flow of a game, there's still time to make a comeback. There's still time to win the game on top of the games where he's just great from start to finish.
Yeah, I think that takeaway leads me into mine. You talk about complementary basketball. What's more complementary than simply having the best defense in the NBA? And I think it's certainly a takeaway that this Thunder defense is still really, really good. It doesn't really even come down to like effort or any of the stuff that we thought would potentially plague a ring night opener. They're just good defenders, and they just have instincts. They just play with tenacity. They racked up 12 steals, 4 blocks. They're going to continue to be one of the better defensive teams in the entire league. That's just how it's going to be, no matter who they roll out from 1 to 8. Let's say 8's AJ Mitchell. AJ Mitchell, as we've talked about, can be a plus defender, but then you've also got these guys. Lou Dort on a bad shooting night, still going to play killer defense on Kevin Durant. Cason Wallace, despite being pretty good offensively, still going to play great defense. Alex Caruso was one of the worst games I've seen from him in a Thunder uniform, still really good on defense. So they're just a good defensive team. It is what it is at this point. I don't think anybody was expecting anything less, but it's very reaffirming to see them go and shut down an offense that was maybe still growing with the Houston Rockets, but one that has some really, really good players in Durant, Amen Thompson, MVP Alperen Şengün.
You said to sneak that one in there. I like that. Şengün played great on Tuesday. But yeah, it'd be this defense. Sans, one of their best defenders, an all defensive player in J-Dub, still performed at a very high level and still forced 21 turnovers and still kept them in this game. I'm going to go the last takeaway. The Thunder, in the mode of still being who they are, they're still a streaky three-point shooting team. So it's like, Lou Dort, for example, going 0 for 8. Am I concerned about Lou Dort? No, he's a 40% three-point shooter, but he's a 40% three-point shooter on the back of high volume and games like this, these ebbs and flows of tonight. He might go 4 for 5 tonight. And then on Saturday, he might go, 3 for 5. And then on Monday, he might go 0 for 8 again. And so like all these guys are the same vein of the streaky three-point shooting. And you just have to hope that they're all hot at the right time as opposed to being all cold at the same time like they were tonight or on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think you can point to a few performances that were a little bit outlier. Like, I don't know that Jay will probably go 0 for 4 again.
Yeah.
Lou Dort, as you've touched on, streaky. It's kind of to the point where, much like the double big lineups and other things that the Thunder sacrifice for good defense, three-point shooting is starting to become a conversation there, where it's like they might just be a streaky three-point shooting team, but that's at the behest of a good defense. Like, Cason Wallace might not be a guy who gets 4 threes a game or 3 threes a game every single night. Lou Dort obviously probably is not going to be that, but they're so valuable on court because of that defense, and it might just be the trade-off moving forward. Obviously, you'd hope maybe they get in a little more of a rhythm. Shea was another guy. I think that's an outlier. 1 for 9. We're probably not going to see too many more 1 for 9 3-point shooting games from Shea, but it just seems like the trade-off at this point. And I think more often than not, especially in the regular season, obviously things tightened up last postseason, got a little scarier with the game 1 losses and some of the bad performances. But in the regular season, I think it's going to be a great driving force to go and win a lot more games.
Yeah, and you look ahead to this road trip that the Thunder will now go on. They are going to take on the Indiana Pacers. And the Pacers season opener, they're going to have their Eastern Conference banner and of course, the natural pregame festivities for your first ever game and your first ever home game of a season. And it'll be a finals rematch between the Pacers and Thunder. However, this final rematch looks a whole lot different. Not only is, of course, Halliburton out for the year with the Achilles injury he suffered in Game 7, but they lost Miles Turner, the Pacers did, to Milwaukee. And they also do not have TJ McConnell in this game. So those are big absences from Indiana. On the Thunder side of things, they don't have J-Dub still. And they don't have Alex Caruso, who goes into concussion protocol. Kenrich Williams and Topic, of course, out until mid-November. Swarber, of course, out for the entire season. Isaiah Joe still out with a knee injury. And then Lou Dort and Cason Wallace are both listed as questionable as of right now. We'll see what their pre-game designation is once we get closer. But for now, they are questionable. So it's going to be an interesting matchup against Indiana, and then they go to Atlanta, and then they go to Dallas, and they come back home to play Sacramento. Now, when you're looking at this road trip, what are you most watching for to have happen for OKC?
It's got a caveat because he's now on the injury report with a questionable designation due to a knee sprain. I don't think, Rylan, do we know any more info than this at this point? We don't know if he's playing tonight. So Cason Wallace would be my first thing to watch for. versus the Pacers, if he's out there, I think he saw, relative to everybody else, maybe Chet's up there, but Cason Wallace saw probably the biggest production jump from last season to game one. I'd be really curious to see if that hangs around or if it was more of a one-off and that he really got going offensively. Obviously, he did his thing on defense, but I mean, 14, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals. That's moving different for Cason Wallace. So I think watching for consistency from him moving forward, like, can he replicate these? Is that going to be his role moving forward? Like, he's certainly one to watch for in terms of, did he take a leap as well? I know all eyes are on Chet Holmgren, but Cason, I've talked about it before, could certainly surprise as a player who still really young, still has a lot of developing to do.
Yeah, Cason is a guy that I was really impressed by. He had timely buckets. You knew what he did defensively, and I thought that he attacked really well on Tuesday, especially whenever he was matched up with Reed Sheppard, which who didn't attack Reed Sheppard very well in that Tuesday game. So I like that Cason caveat there. We'll see what he ends up being listed as once the game tips off in Indiana. I'm going to go with Chet Holmgren. I just want to see Chet Holmgren dominate the stretch of games and really replicate what he did in the first 9 games of last year and build upon that. I think that what you saw from him on Tuesday was everything that you had dreamed of Chet being this unicorn player. His foot was on the line for a couple threes that could have got him to an over 30-point night against Houston while fouling out on some pretty rough calls, I will say, that he fouled out on. I'm really excited about Chet Holmgren, and I think that he can be the biggest story that we have on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, Chet's going to be the one to watch. I mean, I know I just touched on Cason, but can Chet continue what he did on Tuesday further down the line? Can he do that over the course of a season? I think that's one thing that we don't talk about a lot last year is that got cut short. It wasn't necessarily guaranteed that he was going to be able to maintain that production. Obviously, a lot of us around the Thunder hemisphere think he can. We think he's that level of player, but certainly something to watch moving forward. And then my next one, something to watch for, consistency from Shai. Obviously, he's got the quotes. My whole life is consistent. We've seen him average 32. He's mad if it's below 30. That's below his average, yada, yada. They're going to need Shai to be consistent, especially with all of these injuries on the injury report. I mean, you touched on it. AC, Dort, Isaiah Joe, Sorber, Topic, Cason's now on there, Dub, Kenrich. To win, even against this upcoming stretch of games in Indianapolis, Atlanta, Dallas, Shai's going to have to be really, really good. And he's going to have to be really consistently good. He's going to have to offer the exact punch that he offered for most of the season last year. I think the last game, it was trending towards being one of his worst. And obviously, he stepped it up big time in the end of regulation and the 2 overtimes. But Shai's going to have to be really, really good moving forward.
Yeah, Shai's going to have to put a lot on himself to manage this stretch of injury. And I really want to watch how both these teams tonight against Indiana, how do they reinvent themselves and who handles the adjustments the best? Because for Indiana, last year, their ball security really helped them. And Tyrese Halliburton, chief among them, who protected the basketball. And that's what helped them against the Thunder in the finals, which would help them the entire way. Now, throughout the preseason, they've had the 3rd worst turnover rate in the NBA. Like, they've been really bad at protecting the ball. They don't have TJ McConnell. The Thunder, of course, just forced 21 turnovers against Houston. Can the Thunder use that to their advantage? Do the Pacers get that right? The Thunder, of course, are relying on streaky 3-point shooters. They're relying on a team down, massive rotational pieces, and could be even more. Like, you could walk into this game if the questionable Cason and Lou designations go the wrong way. You could walk into this game down 4 of your 5 best defenders, and that would be something that the Thunder have to battle back from and try to reinvent how they're going to play and navigate how they're going to play in this stretch. I'm very curious which team handles that the best. These are 2 well-coached teams. They're going to have 2 of the best coaches in the league that can have some wrinkles in this game on Thursday against Indiana that I'm really excited about. Let's see what they do. I also just want to see more AJ Mitchell minutes. That's no surprise because of how much I love AJ Mitchell, but I really want to see him play a full game, 25 plus minutes and just dominate this contest.
Yeah, I think certainly AJ is going to get more burn given the injury report, but you can also look to guys like Brooks Barnhizer. If Lou Dort's out, if Cason's out, if AC's out, are we going to see 30 minutes from Brooks Barnhizer? Like, it's possible. So I'm excited for Coach Daigneault for the Thunder to reach deep into their rotational bag tonight versus the Pacers.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun to see how Brooks Barnhizer holds up because, in the preseason, there's no question that Brooks Barnhizer is an NBA level defender and a high level NBA level defender right now, even as a rookie, even in game 2 of the season. But offensively, how can he make his impact? I was encouraged by the preseason. He did a lot of playmaking off the ball. His cutting is there. He just has to be, of course, better at locating when to cut and how to receive the ball and then finish the play at the end of it. The three-point shooting is just going to be what it is. I mean, to be quite honest with you, you should not expect anything from him from beyond the arc, except for the fact that he's going to take them. And I like that because at least if you take those threes, you give yourself the chance that the ball goes in, and then you rely on guys like Ihart and Chet. Go clean it up. Yeah, Brooks Barnheiser might end up being the last guy with the ball in the possession. He has to launch a three. You can create another opportunity by crashing the glass against the Pacers team that has a lot of size issues and a lot of backcourt issues, of course, to force those turnovers, which Brooks Barnheiser was excellent at not only forcing turnovers, but running in transition, both with the ball and without the ball. So I'm very curious what Brooks Barnheiser's role looks like in this game. But Derek, it will be fun to have this road trip to react to on Monday's live stream, 2 p.m. Central Time at Locked On Thunder. Anything else that what matchup between Indiana, Atlanta, Dallas are you most interested in?
Well, I thought it was going to be Atlanta. They came out, as someone said in the chat. I don't know if I can repeat it. I'm not gonna. They didn't look too hot. They got mollywopped by the Toronto Raptors. My Toronto Raptors, if you're a live streamer, if you've been with us, you know that I'm high on Toronto. They played really well. It would have been Atlanta. Now it's Dallas. And it's not Dallas because I think Dallas is a good team anymore. Now it's Dallas because through the law of syllogism, through transitive property, how close are the Thunder and Spurs? If the Thunder go beat
what?
The transitive property, law of syllogism, look it up. This is a math pod. How close are the Thunder and Spurs? If the Thunder only beat the Mavs by 5 and the Spurs went out and absolutely cleaned their clock, then what are we looking at in the West right now? Obviously, that's not how basketball works, but I am curious to see how the Mavericks hold up against this Thunder defense, given they don't have any handlers.
Well, I'm going to have to spend this break looking up whatever you just said. And I've heard of the transitive property. It's a very big deal in college football. But I like it. I like the outside the box preview of this road trip. Cooper Flagg, the defense from Dallas. Jason Kidd's rotations were also just crazy last night. Klay Thompson, his shot selection was crazy last night. I don't know what to make of Dallas. And of course, they had to run into the buzzsaw that was Wemby. I mean, Wemby, he's just unguardable. Like he truly, we say unguardable. He's truly unguardable. What are you supposed to do with Wemby? Like, what's your game plan supposed to be with Wemby? I have no clue. We'll talk about that and more coming up on today's Locked On Thunder Live, Monday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time on Locked On Thunder's YouTube channel and on your podcast feeds later on. We're back on the Locked On Thunder Live show, talking about the NBA and the week that was here on Thursday afternoon. Derek, it's time to overreact. Now, look, we're admitting we're overreacting on purpose, but that's all we have to go off of so far with just a couple of games, a couple of days of games under our belt. Now, my first overreaction is that NBC safe basketball. Like the presentation of opening night in OKC, I went back and watched it. It was really? They knocked it out of the park, dude. They knocked it out of the park. They let you watch the entire presentation. The commentating was great throughout the game. I watched the whole game again, as I always do the night after. This time I watched it on NBC and not on Synergy, but watched the entire game. Great presentation, great broadcast. Tarico being back on hoops was a lot of fun. And NBC just made that game feel like a big game because it was a big game. And if they can continuously do that, even in February on a Sunday night, whenever they switch over to having Sunday night basketball instead of Sunday night football, that's going to be big for the NBA. The NBA also, bullying works, folks. The NBA also is going to go back to painting the Larry O'Brien onto the court and painting the final script onto the court during the NBA Finals to give it more of a feel of a big game. That's going to be a lot of fun to see this June. But I'm all in on this new presentation.
I heard that one of the calls when Shea had Kevin Durant on skates, I don't know which one, if it was just one of the jumpers or if it was like the actual game ceiling jumper, but I think it was Jamal Crawford said Dancing with the Stars. That's so good. I didn't go back and watch the broadcast, but that's such a good call. I wish I would have just for that.
Dancing with the Stars airs on Tuesday. That was a great Great call. I mean, I was impressed by Jamal Crawford. You can do some poking holes a little bit. I think that he needs to work on his player comps. Those are harder to do. But overall, I was impressed with Crawford. Of course, we knew Tirico was great from his time at ESPN doing basketball. But still, it was great to have NBC back. It was great to have Round Ball Rock. I was glad that they leaned into Round Ball Rock and they played it nonstop. And I say that endearingly, that they played it nonstop. Round Ball Rock is the best thing in life, honestly. But what's your first overreaction, Derek, to the first couple of nights in the NBA?
I don't even know if it's classified as an overreaction, given that the entire world felt like this, but Victor Wembanyama, dude. I mean, we touched on him earlier. What are we? I don't have words. He's the craziest player I've ever seen. Like, I do draft stuff. I think I started with the Victor Wembanyama year. Even then, I wasn't like great at draft evaluation. I've gotten way better since then. That was 2-3 years ago. Even then, I was like, this is one of the greatest prospects ever. If I think in my Heat Check video, shout out that series, I think in that Heat Check series, I was like, he is the greatest basketball prospect ever. Like, even given LeBron James just wasn't 7'7" and wasn't skilled like this. So even then, you knew that he was good. Now that he's actually putting it together, I said, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, there's going to be a point where Victor Wembanyama just becomes an MVP level player, becomes the best player in the world, and just wills the Spurs to 50 wins every single year. And he's going to do the same in the postseason, and they're just eventually going to win 3 championships in a row. And I don't know that that's this year. I don't know that it's next year. But nights like Wednesday night, where he was doing absolutely everything, he deterred every shot, only had 3 blocks, but he got hands on everything. He changed the atmosphere around him. There were like ripple effects coming off him no matter what he was doing. On nights like that, it's easy to envision those things coming true sooner rather than later. He's just unbelievable. I have no idea what to make of him.
He is unbelievable. And you mentioned the 3 blocks. Look, he's going to be one of these guys that makes up new stats. Like, we're going to have to invent ways to quantify just how good he is, because while he only had the 3 blocks, which we say only, that's like still a good game from him, but he only had 3 blocks. There was countless drives where the Mavericks wanted to, they just blew up actions because of Wemby. Like, they wanted to get in some pick and rolls. They couldn't do it. They wanted to drive, and they thought better of it. By the time they got to the mid paint, they tried to Nash dribble out and reset. Like Wemby was just taking over this game on both ends of the floor. The dunks that he had were, even the dunks were special, where it's like typically with big men, like the dunks are just dunks. The areas of the paint that he can leap from, and the different ways he can do it off the dribble, off of cuts, catching lobs. Like, he's just such a threat for, this sport. And you saw in the preseason that dream shake into the step through. Like, there's just so much that Wemby can do. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the end of December for that baseball style series between the Spurs and the Thunder ending on Christmas Day in OKC. It's going to be a lot of fun. But Wemby, I mean, this guy, he lived up to the hype in a big way, and now it comes to being sustainable throughout the 82-game season.
Yeah, he's unreal. I can't wait for you to touch on this next one. I'm chomping at the bit just to tear this to shreds. Go ahead.
The next one?
Yeah, your next point.
My 76ers. Here they come. Philadelphia on the run. Stand up and cheer. Number 1, Philadelphia on the run. Stand up and cheer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sixers. 10, 9, 8, 76ers. Listen, Sixers, big win in the Garden. Embiid, little rusty. To be expected for a guy who has not played basketball in quite some time. But VJ will not be denied. Are you kidding me with this debut from VJ Edgecombe? 30-plus points in this game in the Garden. Therese Maxey was incredible. Wait till my guy Jared McCain gets back. Paul George still hanging out in street clothes. Perhaps he can do something. I'm not too confident in that, but I am confident in my guy Jared McCain, and I am confident in my Philadelphia 76ers.
I'm glad this is in the overreaction portion of the pod, because you gloating about a 1-point win with probably the most prolific rookie performance we've seen in our lifetime. I think the other ones were literally in like the 60s the last time people scored this many points. It's not for me, dude. I would never showboat like that.
What?
I'm definitely not going to do it in a matter of minutes here with the Charlotte Hornets. So
what did you not like about my Sixers game besides Embiid being rusty? Okay, but they had to go into the historic building, the historic garden against the historic Boston Celtics.
Boston Celtics. The historic Boston Celtics started Nehemiah Queta.
Correct. They did start him. But they also started Jaylen Brown. Ever heard of him? Peyton Pritchard. Ever heard of him? Derek White. Ever heard of him? I mean, it was the Boston 3 party from Derek White and 4 threes for him. Hit the over on the prize picks. No big deal. Go check it out. Code LOCKEDON-NBA. But the Celtics, still a formidable foe. And you have to keep in mind, we're looking at this through the lens of being correct. And my Philadelphia 76ers, all I've asked from them is to be a 6 seed. And that was a 6 seed ball club. And they didn't even have Jared McCain, whomst is one of their best players, and Paul George, who, take it or leave Paul George, but still didn't have Paul George. And I loved it. You know who I loved the most? And it was not VJ Edgecombe with 34 points, because I knew he was a dog. You can go check the tapes. VJ Edgecombe, a dog. VJ Edgecombe, whom, by the way, plays like a guy who still is living off of a generator. I love his story. I love what he's about. I love his heart. I love his grittiness. But I loved even more Dominique Barlow. That dude was gritty. That dude was gutsy. He fought his guts out, as old Joe Gibbs would say. Look him up, folks. Invented the counterplay. But Dominique Barlow does the dirty work like Steely Dan. I love this kid. 13 points from him. Are you kidding me with my Philadelphia 76ers? 13 points, 8 boards for him. Oh, what did Quinta do? Nothing against Dominique Barlow, who did everything right. Joel Embiid, again, rusty. Listen, you're telling me, 1 point win against Boston. Well, you tell me how many more times Joel Embiid's going to play 1 for 9 from the floor and 0 for 4 from 3. And if you tell me that's going to happen consistently, well, guess what, buddy? I've got beachfront property in Kansas to say it, because it's not true. You're living in a fantasy world. This is going to be a year in which Embiid gets back to where he used to be, a year where VJ is incredible. Therese Maxey, by the way, overshadowed by VJ Edgecombe. Therese Maxey, 40 points in this game. Buddy, my Sixers, they're back. My Sixers are a playoff team. Don't worry about the play-in. Don't worry about the lottery. My Sixers in the playoffs.
How many comments do we have to have before the comments can issue us text? Because you have got one from Curtis Nelson, 76er song rendition, technical foul. 2 from Q-Tip, Big Tech, backing up Curtis Nelson. Ivan, shout out Ivan White, go read his stuff on Thunder on SI, Oklahoma State on SI. He's with you, but Peach Cobble here also wants you teched out. That's 3-1 that I'm counting. So,
are you teeing me up? Are you teeing me up for my Sixers?
No. This is overreaction, so I'm not gonna. The song maybe.
That's the best song. The song tier list in the NBA is Here They Come 76ers, Orlando Magic have a great fight song. And that ends the list. I can't think of many more great songs in the NBA. If you want to go all sports, it'd be Rocky Top at 1. The Dolphins have a great fight song, and then the Sixers. But the Sixers are incredible. I love the Sixers. I cannot wait for more Sixers basketball.
This is not hating. We're past the overreaction part. I watched most of that game last night. I couldn't think anything but these are 2 of the most mid Eastern Conference teams I've seen. I'm so serious. I was like, these are so easily the 5th and 6th seeds in the East, which take it or leave it. That's not that bad. That's probably close to what both of us projected, but I wasn't too impressed. And you're right. Joel Embiid can play much better. Paul George will come back. Their young players will get better. Your guy, Jared McCain, he'll be back. They'll be fine, but I was not impressed with last night only. That's over.
The Eastern Conference is a pillow fight. And you have to remember, I'm no longer. It's no longer my Sixers as a top 3 seed. I'm saying top 6 seed, and they played that way. They played that way.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I'd sing about it, but sure, I'm fine with that.
I mean, because you don't have the heart, you don't have the chutzpah.
I don't have the pipes, firstly.
Yeah, that's true. So not all of us are born to be able to sing.
This is a good segue into my next one. I just wanted to touch on several of the top rookie performers. Edgecombe at the forefront, as you talked about. He was awesome. He's the Energizer Bunny. He'll be able to average 14 points per game this year, literally just cutting and just getting out in transition. He's that good at those 2 things. He's that athletic. He's that savvy. He's also got bag work, which he showed. couldn't believe, someone said it in chat, couldn't believe he took 26 shots, more than Tyrese Maxey, who scored 40, was also awesome. I'm so glad he did. It's awesome. Edgecombe was great. Jeremiah Fears continues to look so much more polished than we thought he could. Even guys that were high on Fears, like myself, I had him as, I believe, a top 8 grade. He has looked incredible through preseason and now one regular season game. I believe he had 16 points on 70% shooting, got downhill at ease. He just looks and moves like a pro. He's awesome. Cedric Coward, your guy, piece on Cedric Coward coming out real soon. He didn't miss a field goal, didn't miss a free throw. I think he had 14 points off the bench. He was like a plus 24 in a small win, but he was awesome. And to jump from essentially D2 basketball to the NBA, I mean, he played D1, but 6 games, then he got hurt. So he's essentially leaping from there to here. He was great. Yegor Dioman, you're not going to be excited to know it. He played really well.
I mean, he played really well. Yeah.
14 points in like 20 minutes.
But VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, I'm not impressed. But I'm impressed by Igor Dimon, who didn't get out of bed last night.
Yegor Dimon, apparently not going to be in the league. He's averaging like 14 points through 2 professional basketball games. Trey Johnson was really, really good. They mostly stuck him in the corner, but even then he got buckets. So really good 2025 debuts across the board. A lot more minutes played than I thought. A lot more impact from the rookies than I thought we'd see, which is awesome.
Yeah, which tees up a great video that you have coming out later on Derek Dash Parker on YouTube about the rookie draft class that you should all go and check out. And yeah, we did talk to Cedric Coward a lot about playing Call of Duty, a lot about playing with this Memphis team. You can find that on Draft Digest, Draft.si over on draft.si.com later on today. But Derek, I want to give a quick update because we are locked on Thunder. Lou Dort in tonight. Cason Wallace out tonight. So the missing pieces for the Thunder tonight is Caruso, Joe, Thomas Sorber, of course, Topic, Cason, J-Dub, and Kenrich. They're all out. Lou Dort is in after being listed as questionable. And again, for the Pacers, no Halliburton. Miles Turner now plays for the Bucks, and TJ McConnell is also out. Now, let's talk about some more overreactions. And as much as I love to take the victory lap on AJ Mitchell earlier, and I love to take the victory lap on the 76ers, hand up. This is on me, coach. I was wrong. I was wrong on DeAndre Ayton. 10 points, 6 rebounds in 33 minutes. 33 minutes. He got 6 rebounds. He looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane out there. I mean, it's just not good from DeAndre Ayton being so soft. And I thought that the desperation of being on his last chance in the NBA, I thought that the glitz and glamour of being on the Lakers would change things for DeAndre Ayton. So far, it has not changed anything. There was a great line by Fran Fraschilla about Mitch Lightfoot back in the day with Kansas. Mitch Lightfoot was a prototypical college big man. Really had no business playing at a high level, but he had heart. And Fran Fraschilla would say if you cut open Mitch Lightfoot, a Jayhawk would fly out. And if you cut open DeAndre Ayton, an air mattress would inflate. I mean, you can tell he's still sleeping on an air mattress. It's not very good for DeAndre Ayton. And I was just so disappointed with him and the way that Luka couldn't maximize his game in this game, largely because of DeAndre Ayton's fault. It wasn't Luka's fault at all. So DeAndre Ayton, not very good. I'm out on DeAndre Ayton.
It is only made worse by the fact that they were playing the Warriors, who started Draymond at the 5. Obviously, Draymond's awesome, like blatantly all-time defender, but that's not a great 5-man to not succeed against. Al Horford didn't even see a great game off the bench, 2 for 7 shooting, had 4 fouls, and yet they still kind of took it to Ayton. So yeah, not a phenomenal Lakers debut for him. Rip a few more, because I've only got one take left, and I want to react to some of these. And I especially want to react to this next one because I vehemently disagree with it.
Derek, you were wrong about the Memphis Grizzlies. You were just so wrong about the Memphis Grizzlies. And it's not my Memphis Grizzlies. It's not your Memphis Grizzlies. It's not the chat's Memphis Grizzlies, but it's the Lord's Memphis Grizzlies. So we're all God's children. And you picked Memphis to be the second worst team in the NBA. You picked Memphis to be the second worst team in the Western Conference.
In the West.
In the Western Conference. You picked Memphis to be the second worst team in the Western Conference. Yes,
which is like the 6th worst team in the NBA.
Yes, they needed to come back against New Orleans, even while New Orleans was playing Hunter Dickinson. That's a technical foul right there for Willie Green, playing Hunter Dickinson in the regular season in the first quarter
By the way,
regular season.
Wemby's next matchup, Hunter Dickinson. So we're about to see an ethereal
He's going to
experience.
score 60. Hunter Dickinson couldn't stop you in the post. That's how bad Hunter Dickinson is. Hunter Dickinson is a disgrace to basketball. And I hope that Hunter Dickinson plays out the rest of this two-way deal and never again sniffs even the G League. Hunter Dickinson is terrible. Anyway, you were wrong, though. Memphis is not going to be the second worst team in the Western Conference.
I never said that from a perspective of like their basketball players on their roster are the second worst in the West. I said it from the perspective of when they get midway through the season and they're like, should we push for the 8 seed and a sweep in the first round or Darren Peterson? They're going DP every day of the week, dude. And I still stand by that.
Well, and I stand by that fact too, but I think that they're going to be going for Darren Peterson the same way that the Mavericks went for Cooper Flag, the same way that, you want to get lottery luck if you're Atlanta whenever they got Zachary Richachet. Like, yes, I agree that there's going to come a point this season where they're not going to try to make the play-in. I would agree with that statement. But the statement that they're going to be they're going to pull the plug in time to drop to the second worst record in the league of the Western Conference, that's wrong. Already, John Morant with 35 in that game. Jaren Jackson Jr. had
look at the things that it took for them to win by 6 over, might I add, a bad Pelicans team. This was a bad Pelicans team, and it took 35 from John Morant. Not going to happen.
Yeah, and it took 27 for Zion Williamson to be competitive in this game. And again,
6 blocks from Triple
J.
J.
What I'm saying is that you're wrong. Is that if these New Orleans Pelicans finish below the Memphis Grizzlies, I'm right. You're wrong.
How?
Okay, for you to be right, they have to only have one team below them. And I'm already putting the Jazz down there even after this fun win for them.
Jazz got to win, baby. What are you talking about?
Again, I'm already putting them down there even though they got the win. So whom else are they going to have to be worse than the rest of the league? They're not going to be worse than New Orleans. There's not going to be worse than New Orleans.
Nothing about this Grizzlies team in the last handful of years has told me anything about that. John Morant might play 30 games, and then what are we looking at? Where's that 35 points, buddy boy?
Okay. Cedric Howard, my guy. But we'll see. My overreaction is you're already wrong on the Memphis Grizzlies.
I probably am, but I'm going to stand by it because I really feel confident they're not going to be a good basketball team this year.
I have another overreaction.
Hit me.
If you're on TikTok, which I am on TikTok way too much, a couple weeks ago, there was a trend predicting that the rapture would happen on a Tuesday in October. And, there's been some signs. We won't have to dive into them. Not a political pod, not a podco. There's been some signs that we might be in the end times. No sign alerted me more. No sign did me say a few Hail Marys last night and make sure I was right and everything and we were ready to go just in case. More so than the Orlando Magic last night. Because the Orlando Magic last night dropped 125 points and shot 40% from 3. That doesn't happen for Orlando. The Orlando Magic have been the worst three-point shooting team for 20 years. And the fact that all of a sudden they shot 40% from 3, I'm not going to lie to you. I did a couple of researches in the Bible, and I was like, okay, well, you're gonna see this sign and that sign, and it wasn't in the scripture, but you can deduce that, like, hey, the Magic start hitting threes might be a sign from the man above.
They looked really good. Desmond Bane, obviously, there was not any singular person that was like, that's a bad pickup for the Magic, I don't think, but he looked as advertised. Tristan De Silva is going to be an awesome piece for them. 16 points, 3 for 5 from beyond the arc. The Magic hitting threes is bad, but they did not look infallible. I will say it took a late comeback. Their defense seemed to have really taken a step back given the offense they were rolling out. So curious moving forward, are they going to continue to hit threes? Are they going to refine that defensive intensity? Kind of side-eyeing the Magic, because if they can find threes and refine the defensive intensity, then I think we're looking at a top 3, absolutely, but maybe even a top 1 to 2 seed in the East. So yeah, interesting performance.
The Orlando Magic, I started to feel good watching the Magic game about my predictions of having them below the Cavs, the Knicks, and the Hawks until the Hawks played. The Hawks, I'm scared for my Hawks. I've gone all in on this offseason for Atlanta. I've got all in on their defense, putting enough around Trae Young to have a good defense. And that was my case for Quinn Snyder to win Coach of the Year, was that not only would they jump from a play-in team to a home court advantage team in the East, but you'd look at their defensive numbers and go, I'm surprised that a Trae Young team could defend at this level. And yet, in their season opener against your Toronto Raptors, the Atlanta Hawks put up 138 points given up to Toronto. They gave up 138 points in a loss to the Toronto Raptors. That's not good. That's bad. That's scary. And I'm concerned for my Hawks.
Yeah, and again, I was a fan of the Raptors. It wasn't necessarily that the Raptors have like way more talent or anything. They played their butts off and it just worked against the Hawks. Like the Hawks just purely did not have it going. They didn't try near as much. It was very apparent in the film that Atlanta just didn't want it as much as Toronto did. And that is a little bit concerning. Now, could Atlanta come back next game, take defense way more seriously and go win the basketball game with a lot of really potent scores? Yes. But again, kind of side-eyeing this Hawks team of like, you're not going to be able to coast off 5 really good scores in the starting lineup. Like it seemed like they thought they could because they came out, guns were not a-blazing, dude. The defense was wretched.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad for my Hawks. That was a take that I had. Also, is the curse of the trees real? Is the curse of the trees real? Because the Clippers, who got a lot of love for their offseason and got a lot of respect for the team that they've put together, which, they're a well-coached team. I like the offseason moves that they made, but the offseason moves that they made led to them losing 129 to 108 to the Utah Jazz on opening night. That's just a bad way to start your season. I'm concerned for the curse of the trees for the Clippers.
What is the curse of the trees?
Have you not been keeping up with Pablo Torre? Finds out, Kawhi hasn't been planting trees. It's been an offshore job for him. It's been a no-show job, and the trees are angry, my friend.
Okay, I forgot the trees were connected to that whole situation. Bad loss, dude. Bad loss. And the Jazz, credit to them. I watched a lot of this game as well. Don't ask why. I don't know why I watched this game. They just made shots. Like whether the defense was good, whether it wasn't good, they were absolutely on fire. They have some pieces, like they're not as bad as everyone makes them out to be. We talk about them as the worst team in the West. The worst team in this Western Conference is probably like a mid-tier Western Conference team 50 years ago. So, I mean, it was a bad loss. They can course correct. I've already seen Tankathon Sims of the Thunder getting Darren Peterson via the Clippers pick. I wouldn't go that far. Let's not go that far.
Let's not go that far. It is fun to think about for game one. It reminds me a lot of last year. Like the Clippers started out a bit slow and people kept tracking the Clippers pick. But I'm not overly concerned. This is like a ha-ha concern of like, wow. I mean, maybe the trees do have an impact on this, but I think that they're going to be fine throughout the rest of the season. I'm not going to change my opinion of the Clippers being in that top half of the West after this one game against the Utah Jazz, although as inexplicable as it may be. You look at Denver last year, for example. Denver was a 4th seed in the NBA, in the Western Conference, and they got swept by Washington. They went over 2 against the Washington Wizards. So, like, if this loss happened in December, it would not be as big of a deal as it is today after game number 1. I also want to give a shout out to my Suns. They won 120 to 116 over the Kings. Jalen Green still on the old injury report, so we'll see whenever JG gets back. But Booker was great, 31 points. Their defense down the stretch was really good to get this win over Sacramento. And old friend Russell Westbrook off the bench, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 25% shooting, 0 for 2 from 3. That's Russell Westbrook for you in year 18. But the Suns, nice little win, starting out 1-0 for my Suns. And that leaves us to your final overreaction.
Charlotte Hornets. Listen, guys, it's been a long offseason full of a lot of Charlotte Hornets love. I know everybody's really high on them. I obviously was the initial one here that said, hey, they're going to have a nice little season over there in Charlotte. 1-0, dude. Undefeated record for the Charlotte Hornets. Now, did they beat the worst team in basketball? Maybe they did. Maybe
they don't have NBA players on their roster. Yeah, they did.
Who's to say? I mean, I won't be the one to say it. Maybe my co-host will be. 136-117. Dude, they moved the ball. Genuinely, the offense actually looked viable. I know it was the Nets, but they moved the ball really well. They played well. LaMelo Ball wasn't abysmal in terms of decision-making, so that was good. Brandon Miller, potential star. The rookies, Con Knipple, Ryan Kalkbrenner, played really, really well. I have sung, I know, Dennis, I know, it's okay. We're going to take our one win. Let me have my one win, dude. Ryan Kalkbrenner, I've sung his praises this offseason too, and I've mentioned he should start against 7-footers. Obviously, they're going to play the Moose most of the time, but give the Hornets some credit, dude.
No,
Undefeated
no,
record.
no.
Undefeated.
You
If
set
we
the
can
tone.
give the Suns.
Stop. Don't spin zone this. You set the tone out of the gate. I tried to be excited about my 76ers, who, by the way, beat the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics.
I won.
And the Boston Celtics.
It's no
a 1-point win over
19
Boston is
win.
a 1-point win over Boston is worth a 60-point win over the Brooklyn freaking Nets. The
No.
Brooklyn Nets are terrible. They're a tragedy. They're a travesty in basketball. They're a plight on the sport. You don't get to be high and mighty about, oh, my little Hornets. Oh, they're so good. Oh, I got my little Hornets right, and then be like, yeah, but they only won by 1 in Boston.
Let's see the Nets
won by 1 in Boston. Philadelphia, you're going to be watching Elvis at the end of the year because Philadelphia will have a better record than the Charlotte Hornets at the end of the year. But Derek,
by the way, Saturday. 76ers Hornets. We're going to find out, dude.
I can't wait.
We're going to find out. That's the next one.
Go and watch playback and watch that game together. That'll be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for Saturday. That'll be on the billion screens that we have to watch NBA hoops. But technical foul, Derek, who are you giving it to?
It's got to be the fiasco today. Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, whoever else. Hit the button.
Technical foul.
I haven't done my like insane due diligence on this. I need to read the full story, but what are we doing? What are we doing? It's despicable. It's despicable. That's my key. You have to.
Chauncey and Terry Rozier arrested by the FBI. Cash Patel and company got going today, huh? And they were arrested for illegal poker games, illegal gambling, allegedly not on NBA contests, but allegedly they were having illegal poker games and whatnot. So they've been arrested, and for now, the Trailblazers turned to assistant coach Tiago Splitter to be their head coach in Portland, while Chauncey is in cuffs. And then Terry Rozier, this has been a developing story from Miami for a long time, dating back to his time with Charlotte, and then he finally was arrested today. So we'll see how this all plays out, but that is worthy of a technical foul. I'll give a technical foul to Kevin Durant.
That's a technical foul.
The refs didn't have the guts to call it. I do. You can't pull a Chris Webber moment. You cannot be 50,000 years old. You can't be collecting Social Security and not understanding that you don't have a timeout left. So I don't know how in the world he thought that they had a timeout left. I don't know how in the world he called the timeout. I don't know how in the world he didn't get a technical foul. So just know Kevin Durant is up a T on the season.
That's a technical foul.
Curtis Nelson with a good call out in chat. The arrest will probably lead to a permanent ban, i.e. double T's.
That's a technical foul.
There he is. He's gone. So I'm interested to see how that plays out and how the rest of the NBA season plays out. We'll be back on Monday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, to discuss the weekend that was in the NBA. We'll be back on Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, to discuss the week that was. And in between there, you get our 5-day week, Monday through Friday podcast. And after every single game coming up later tonight, you'll have a podcast with Brian Rabar recapping the Pacers game. And on Saturday, you'll have a podcast recapping the Atlanta Hawks game in A-Town. So a lot to get into throughout the week. Derek, again, I love doing these live streams with you. You can find Derek at OKC Dream Team on Patreon, Derek Parker on YouTube, at DParkOK across social media. And you can find us both at Thunder on SI. Derek, you want to leave the coaches who did a great job today. No tease on the coaches today. Great job, chat, for all of you in there. I want to leave them with anything, any words of encouragement, any song of the day, any movie to go watch, whatever you want to say.
I'll leave them with the song of the day. Can I Kick It? Tribe Called Quest. It's been my go-to lately.
Yes,
I don't know why. So go listen to that, everybody.
Go listen to that. My song of the day is Here They Come, Philadelphia on the Run 76ers. I believe it's technically called Here Come the Sixers. Go look that up. Have it sung to you better than I could. But it was a lot of fun to talk Sixers, to talk hoops, and we'll be back to do it again next week. Until then, folks, be good and be good to one another.